Hey Misfits, it's Drew. If you are listening to this or watching it, this is the post-production version of the live podcast that we did for 26.1. I will leave the live version up on our YouTube channel if you want to try to sync it up with the open announcement, so you can listen to Paige and I kind of talk through our thoughts while we're watching that workout. I wanted to record this portion of it here because it kind of bounces around a little bit. I took large chunks of dead air and us kind of watching and talking about things where you would need the visual element there. So it does bounce around a little bit, just kind of a warning, but there are some really good tidbits in there. If you're looking for sort of more drawn out strategy, written out strategy, warm-ups, that stuff's going to be in Telegram. It's going to be in your programs, and then eventually it will be on social media. So I hope you guys enjoy this. If you got any feedback for next week, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, without further ado, 26.1 podcast episode.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever seen either.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into a ultra mega special edition Misfit podcast. It is CrossFit Christmas. 26.1 is here, the beginning of the 2026 CrossFit Games season. On this episode of the podcast, we are live right now, technically. So if you're with us, welcome. And if you're listening after the fact, hopefully you have waited until the post-production version, where if there's dead air, I'm going to get rid of it and repost it. So don't you worry about me talking about all of the live stuff, because we will make sure that we get into the nitty gritty of what's happening with the athletes, our breakdown of that, the warm-ups, strategy, movement tips, answering people's questions, all that good stuff. So we will go in and edit that stuff afterwards. Before we get started with all of that good stuff, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gorilla Mind. You can head to gorillamind.com/misfit or just use the code word misfit at checkout. We got big news. There is a new flavor of the energy drink. We have this pretty cool can. Rainbow.
Oh, it's pretty.
Apparently it's sherbet, but in America we say sherbet, and I don't know why there's no R there, and I don't know how to actually pronounce it, but it's delicious, and it is actually number 2 on my power rankings right now. Slid all the way up. Yes.
Dang.
If you look up here, that's the White Frost. That's still number 1. And we did not partner with them because they make energy drinks. We partnered with them because they make the best supplements in the game. So gorillamind.com/misfit or use the code word misfit at checkout. Little bit of housekeeping here. All of our programs can be found at the link in bio on our Instagram. You can get signed up for our affiliate program on a 2-week free trial. You can email me, coach@misfitathletics.com. I'll give you a 2-week sample, or you can get a free trial on Fitter or Strivey for our open athlete, quarterfinals athlete, semifinals athlete, CrossFit Games athlete programming, or the unsung hero, the GPP program, which is for everybody trying to be healthy, happy, strong, fit, all of that good stuff. Really important here. If you want to win some stuff on these as we progress through, you got to make sure you go into your competition dashboard on games.crossfit.com and add the hashtag rain or shine, RAINORSHINE, all jammed together there. And you will be on the Misfit leaderboard for 2026. Get some shout outs there, give away some free stuff, and make sure that if you are subscribed to any of our programs, aside from GPP, that you're keeping an eye out for changes. So when these workouts get announced, we make sure that we go in and make that everything is balanced, and we make some changes, and there could be some stuff kind of down the line. So keep an eye out for that. Shout outs of the week. These are of a very different variety this week, but we got to give a shout out to McKenna Enslin. Right before the season gets started for the 2nd year in a row, she is scheduled for surgery, which is a really tough pill to swallow. But a message for McKenna and for everybody else: where there is a will, there is a way. The only time I lose athletes ever is when they don't want to do the work anymore. They don't want to deal with the communication anymore. They don't want to feel the pain. It's usually the pain. It's usually like, I've done this enough. I don't want to do this. So for all of you, especially McKenna, if you want to keep working, we're going to keep working, and we're going to find a way. So that's anybody that's injured out there. Massive shout out to Kyle Moline qualifying for the NorCal Classic. Kyle is the community MVP of Misfit. Kyle is waiting on Telegram, as far as I can tell, to heart your message, to
Everything.
to pump you up, to just he's an awesome dude, and he's worked his butt off. And if you go to his games profile, he has that like leaping up in levels every single year, and it's just so fun to watch when the person is not only a really hard worker but also a very important part of the community. So shout out to Kyle, and also to Kyle's training partner Adrian, who was qualified for the 40 to 44, I believe, at NorCal. I could be making that up.
Crazy. Love it.
Please let me know if I'm wrong, but that's just so cool. So Lindsay Hoffman has already qualified, so we got a little NorCal party going on. So if you want to see us at a semifinal, you should definitely be there. So I want to challenge coaches and athletes as they're watching this announcement to put their athlete IQ to the test, and then to have the humility when we're all wrong about some sort of nuance within a workout, because that's fun. It's not disparaging that you don't know exactly what's going to happen in every single workout, because these, combinations are so interchanged and, not all over the place, but you guys get what I mean. So much variance within this. So what I want to challenge you to do is to establish a theory about the workout. What is the stimulus? Is this the kind of thing where we're trying to hold the same pace and go on the merry-go-round? Is this one where we got to break up a movement because if we don't, the movement will go away? Is this one where we have to stop because the gas tank is going to be an issue? We're going to slow down because the gas tank is going to be an issue. Timing is huge with athlete IQ. Paige, let's talk about this. Let's identify stimulus. Who is this muscle endurance workout for, and who is this a gas workout for?
Are you talking in terms of the athletes that are going here, or?
No. I think this is probably a gas stimulus because of the athlete IQ with them, the way that they're going to break it up.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes, the wall ball is actually going to be a little bit more of an upper body thing. So this brings the lower half really into play here. And breaking up your wall balls is going to be incredibly important.
Yeah, I mean, I'll die on that hill of sets of 10s the whole way, just about staying consistent, methodical on the wall balls. And that number doesn't have to be 10, but like it could be something where you're like, I know as soon as it hits the ground, I can pick this ball back up and just stay in that constant rhythm of it.
Box jump overs are harder than wall balls. I think that matters in this. And I don't mean in a one-to-one sense. I mean, what's going to happen to you metabolically if you try to push in one place or the other, because we have the fixed cadence movement to an extent. We get to see Jason and Colton do them, so probably not fixed cadence, but pretty damn close. You're not going to win the workout there. So individual cadence with the ball is going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We did that workout, the rowing, the wall balls, the box jump overs, and like some athletes can really move on box jump overs and others need to, also be really methodical there. I think, that was a 16 to 18 minute workout or almost 20-minute workout. And like even my remote athlete, Peyton, like she's cruising on box jump overs. And like, I look at these movements for her, I'm like, these are wheelhouse. I look at McKenna, these are wheelhouse. So it's going to be very dependent on like, how confident do you feel on these movements too? Like you do have to accept the fact that gas tank is gonna.
Hey, it's Kelly.
It's gonna hit. Yeah, she's doing the judging here.
She's doing the judging.
On Instagram. Yeah, she's one of the judges for the athletes.
And then there's just the alchemy of the combination of the two movements. So you might like the box jump over. Will you sabotage your wall ball capacity with the fact that you like those? And we've talked about this recently with two rowers of varying degrees could have vastly different paces, or they could row at the same pace and one of them could be in a worse spot than the other for the other piece. And then you sort of end up getting to that point there. So how the movements mix together is really fascinating. Am looking at this workout and I'm looking at these athletes, and yes, you can do box jump overs faster than 2 seconds a rep, but I think we will be looking at buzzer beater type situations for the best, especially considering most of us are not going to average that 2 seconds on the wall balls.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have transitions and breaks.
I'm also curious, like, how are the box step overs going to feel? Are they going to help you kind of bring your heart rate back down to to kind of step on the gas pedal on the back half of this workout. Like,
No.
I don't know. Like, I like
Maybe.
them in there.
Sure. Yeah. I'm that's the thing that makes this awesome is we get to this point in the year and we've been pushing the GPP propaganda and all I wanted was a medium duration couplet that just slammed people because it proves a point. It's not because I'm like a sadist. It's because you being able to push in a workout like this is a prerequisite for any other aspirations that you have. Stand no chance at going anywhere until this style of workout can be pushed. So, like, yeah, just looking at some of the comments here. Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those moments where it's if I had to guess, the box jump overs are step overs for scaled. That's typically how they do that.
Probably.
So that could be one thing to have in consideration there. You could still do it in that regard, but otherwise there isn't honestly really a huge choice. You kind of just got to go for it or potentially do the scaled version. So yeah, we got a nasty little workout here, right? It's accessible. It's just wall balls and box jumps.
Crazy.
It's old school, but
I don't know. Like, this is a good group of guys to watch as well, right? You got the tall, the short.
this is the end of the workout, isn't it? For these two?
I think so.
Mother of God. You love to
Yeah.
see it.
354 reps. Yep.
And again, people lose the plot with this stuff. It's intentional. It's not, he's not saying like, oh, you aren't good enough to do this workout. He's showing the top. This is the whole deal. Program for the best, scale for the rest. It's built
Yes.
in with the time cap. This is not dumb because you can't finish. It is a 12-minute AMRAP for basically everybody.
Like, let's just remember how fit Colton Mertens is, especially
Yeah.
in the open. So, like, if you start this workout and your 20 wall balls and 18 box jump overs are on pace with Colton, boy,
For sure. Yeah. And
with
so
any of them.
this is 4 of the top 10.
Right.
4 of the 10 best people in the entire world at this thing, and 2 of them finished. So clearly intentional. And I think there's discussions super often about, like, does mental toughness exist? Is it something that you need? You have to push yourself in workouts, in training, to prepare yourself to feel a certain way. So it's more semantics when we're arguing over, is it mental toughness? Is it resilience? Is it whatever? It's knowing how to toe the line, go over it sometimes, and do that and put yourself in that place. And we talked about it recently on the podcast where there was a video of Jason doing a workout and it was just a real simple couplet, triplet, whatever. And his wheezing on the burpee box jump overs is like, this is the fittest man on earth. Are you taking yourself to that place when you know what it feels like, you know how to manage it, you know how to deal with it? So again, is it mental toughness? Is it experience and sort of learning and building on that? I don't think that part really matters. But wowee, that was something, huh? So what we can do now, I think that would be interesting potentially is start to ask for questions. And I'm going to make my way through with Paige. We'll go through, warm up and all that stuff, and we'll kind of take the questions as we go. So for the warm up, this is the time of year where we post our warm ups on social media and people lose their minds at the sweat check. Here's what we're looking for. We are looking for 3 4-minute to 5-minute sections on a machine where you are in zone 1, and then zone 2. And if you don't know what that means, super easy, then kind of easy. We are taking the blood that is circulating in our midline around our organs and we are sending it out to our arms and our legs and our entire body. It's going to help oxygenate tissues. It is going to help you regulate heart rate. But we have to do that slowly. So we do it over the course of, we build from, basically where you're at when you start, and then we want to land at 180 minus your age all the way at that 12 or 15-minute mark. So if you feel like it's insane and you want to walk for part of it, you want to do an echo bike for part of it, like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. But that's where we are going to start our warm up with something like this. From there, we got to go into mobility, activation, and movements. I'm really thinking about my hips in something like this. That's going to be kind of the dominating feature there. But then we're thinking down the road to potential redo. So I'm thinking lower leg as well. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
rolling out the arches. I'm thinking about flossing the ankles. I'm thinking about getting some ankle pumps in just to feel that out and make sure that we have our sliding surfaces there. And if you feel tight in a particular area, we're going to take the voodoo floss and we're going to go really tight there and we're going to work through range of motion. So for me, I'm really thinking about that to get started. If we're dealing with some shoulder mobility issues, that's when we're going to spend a little bit more time there. We're going to do the floss on the shoulders as well. We're going to address the T-spine. But I honestly don't think that that's as big a part of this workout unless you're accumulating well over 200 reps and you're going to have to deal with sort of the ramifications down the road. So we're going to go through. Paige, do you prefer activation or mobility first post warm-up? How do you put that together?
I usually I'll do my squat hold sometimes even before I do a sweat check, but typically it's sweat check, mobility stuff, and then I go into activation from there. Sometimes there's a little bit of a combination if there's a time restraint, but for something like this where I'm prioritizing just this workout for a session, it's like I'm going to take that extra time to separate them and give attention to both.
What are you thinking about for activation on something like this?
So I'd also consider low back. A lot of people tend to get that low back pump when it comes to box jump overs and wall balls. You're just kind of sitting in those hips for a while. So I'm thinking I like something along the lines of like tempo box step downs where I'm really getting some good glute activation.
Yep.
And then, starting to feel some of that tension in the actual leg, like adductor areas as well. I'll hit some duck walks, things like that. I'll probably floss out my triceps. I know me personally, I'm going to feel some of that in there. So I just, am going to floss them up, get them, loosened up pretty much. And so, yeah, I mean, those, I typically keep it pretty simple. I don't try to add too much.
Yeah.
I just kind of
Sure.
know what works for me. And like the tempo box step downs are just a really, really big one for me. I'll do 2 sets of 8 on a 20-inch box, and then I'll do 2 sets of 6 on each leg on a 24-inch box.
Yeah, I'm big. If you're dealing with the low back stuff, I'm really big on glute activation before something like this. I want to feel the muscle contraction in a place that's not as natural for me, so I can try to replicate it within the movement that I'm actually going to do. That's typically why I'm doing something like that, because the musculature in my posterior chain isn't firing in the same way that it is in the frontal plane. So that's the way that I typically think about that. From there, I am just a rotate through ascending levels of the movement before I go into something like a primer. So I will do air squats and like box jump, step back down. And then I will go to front squats with the ball and I'll potentially, do some step ups with the ball there. Then we work our way. So I'm basically just switching back and forth between variations of these movements. And like, let's say my lower half was sore, I would start even with a lower box to start to work myself into it. But I want to really feel each time I jump up, like I was ready to do that movement as I'm working my way through. And then you eventually just get to a point where you're doing some box jump overs, box step overs with the ball and some wall balls. Nothing wrong with a couple of heavy wall balls or jumping a little bit higher or that sort of thing if you like the feel of it feeling a little bit easier when you go into it. Honestly, with this one related to a primer, I like the idea of really feeling kind of smooth and controlled at the beginning of a workout like this. So I'm probably going to rely on a machine for a primer, and it's going to be really short. I'm going to go over either to a rower or an echo bike, and I'm just going to do these quick little bursts that get me into that heightened state. But I typically am looking for a primer closer to something that's in that shorter time domain or something that requires a lot of like really heavy effort early on.
Yeah.
With it being the first workout with the adrenaline of that, I do like the idea of a little bit of one, but it would be on a machine.
Yeah. I think through the years, I've learned that I like my primers to have the movements involved in it, but I'll typically also involve a machine.
Yep.
So something like this, it might be like, I'm going to do maybe 2 rounds of it. So it's like a gradual increase of like, I'm going to get a feel for cadence. And then, so it's going to be like machine, wall ball, box jump over. The second round of that, I'm going to push the machine really hard and then feel out the 2 movements and, just again, get that feel of like, I know it's going to suck. So I want to have a little bit of experience with that prior to starting.
Yeah. All right, let's talk strategy. You have to be as fit as it'll be more on the women's side, lower box, some of the taller women with that wall ball. It's just all
It's going
day
to cycle
long.
fast. Yeah.
So we have the joke, if everything's cardio, if you're brave enough. This is not cardio for most people, but we do have the individual cadence movement, which is basically the box jump over, but also includes the step over. So what that means is we need to know what our all-day wall ball set is, and we're going to do that for the entirety of the workout until clock is ticking, we're running out of time. We got to have that push, and we have to moderate our pace on the box jump over to allow that to continue to happen. And there's a push and a pull there. So if you think your all day set is 15 to 20 reps and it's actually 10, you're going to have to slow down too much on the box jump overs. I love anywhere from 5 to like 12 reps with almost no rest, like at all in there. That's personally what I like for almost every athlete, right? We're not giving advice right now to Colton and Jason for this workout. We are giving advice to the masses, and you want to pick a set where when you drop it, you just pick it back up and go again. And it's going to feel like you don't need to early on. Honestly, it's not going to take very long. Second or third set, you're going to be glad that you did.
Yeah.
And that's when you can start to do the push and pull. This is a workout where you can think a little bit, right? You've got to judge. They're counting for you. You don't have to deal with that. So you really want to think about your body language, the way that you're carrying yourself, and how the push and pull of your original strategy is actually working. And if you're really serious about this and worried about where you're going to finish, you got to make sure that somebody is taking your splits down for you, or hopefully you're doing a video and you can do those splits for yourself and you can go back and watch. Obviously, the trap here is 26.1. We're all excited. We've been doing open prep. We're in quarterfinals prep right now. Your body is happy when you pace things well or even underpace a little bit and then decide to push. Your body does not like pushing too hard and then recovering from that, especially in a window of 12 minutes, and then figuring out how to come back from the dead, essentially. Body's not good at that. Your mind is usually not along for the ride because there's a lot of, the check engine light's on, your heat's too high, something's up with your oil, you got no headlights. Your body gets those warning signals and it's not a fan of them. So we're going to choose that set. And if you decide we're moving to 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, whatever it is, go for it, right?
Yeah.
But warning, you're going up. You're going all the way up to that 66 rep point. So keep that in mind as you're working through it. And yeah, I mean, it's really just about the push and pull of what are your all day sets, and then how are you moderating your box jump overs. If your box jump overs get really slow, you're not doing the right thing on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's typically where you're going to start to see the body language change too. But I mean, we do, if you're following Misfit, you're doing forever pace on machines over and over again. It's like, how can you translate that to your wall balls? Just to give you something to kind of think about in a positive way.
Movement efficiency.
Keep your
we
heels
thinking?
down.
Yeah. So what we are looking for in the wall ball is the people who love wall balls, the people who are really good at wall balls. They're doing them all day long. It's annoying to watch. They don't look that tired. They look like their feet are cemented into the floor. And if their feet are cemented into the floor, then they're not going to be able to rely on that lean forward and kind of hips sagging forward and extending while the knee stays kind of partially closed. So if people are wondering what the heck is going on here, it's like knee extension is you're just stood all the way up. That's probably the easiest way to think about knee extension. But when we're thinking about squatting, you want to think about it from the perspective of you're in this perfect quarter squat. You're almost done your squat. You should be really balanced in your feet, a little bit of an angle to your hip, a little bit of an angle to your knee. When we're at that point, we are thinking of snapping the knee open. That will open your hip. We will get hip extension there. We find that if we teach it through the knee extension, then we get a lot of force generated from the lower half, and then the ball just kind of floats up and we're doing our thing. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo that's going to be put out there surrounding the rest of the wall ball. We just don't want anything essentially that's egregious. So we don't want you clamping onto the wall ball on the sides, getting your extra pec workout in. We don't need that. We need to be underneath it so the force we're generating from underneath the ball can make the ball go up. We don't want our arms just waiting all the way up in the air, stood all the way up so that we can now do another full weighted squat. We want to think about it like how the Olympic lifts have taught us to catch a bounce, where we have this really beautiful receiving position. We're just above parallel. We catch the ball, takes us into our bounce. Then we have less of the squat itself actually loaded the whole time.
Right.
So that's really important there. Anything to add with the wall ball before we?
I mean, we just got a question, movement efficiency about dropping the arms while the ball is in the air. I find it effective. I'm someone who will go up and bring them out to reset down here. Again, I mean, do you want to hold your arms like this for 10 minutes in a straight?
No.
Can you do that? So you want to get them back into that position as quickly as you can once you release that ball.
I like to teach it like the clean.
Yeah.
I want a nice receiving position there. And if it's truly the bottom of it, you're probably going to have some recoil. So when you watch athletes that are good at them, there is an accepting of it that makes it kind of smooth going down in. The whole Ben Smith and apparently Paige Semenza and some other people of the swimming the arms out and around.
As of recent. Yeah.
I don't care. Do it. That does not bother me. Some people like it. Some people, the timing gets off. I think there's a coordination element to that, but don't get wrapped up in the minutia. You will see a lot of videos, and most of those videos are for clicks. A lot of the content that is put out. So we want to make this as simple as possible. Also, you got to do anywhere from probably 180 to 240 wall balls here. Do not completely change the way that you move today in this workout. It won't go that well, and then you're just going to go back to moving the way that you did before in a lot of instances. How are you thinking about the box jump over, Paige?
Definitely not straight on. You got to be a little, I don't know, I guess, you want to have a little bit of an angle or, be completely lateral if possible. The footwork on top of the box matters. How you're turning around and loading for the next rep matters. So that is something that if I'm on one side, I want to be able to replicate it on the other side. I'm jumping up. When I'm thinking about it, I'm getting one foot as close to the edge as possible in my landing so that foot is coming right off the box and I'm staying close to the box.
Right.
So, typically it's kind of I'd say a quarter angle, but a lot of, athletes may go lateral if you have to go forward based on safety or fear of the box. It just might take a little bit more time than you're spinning.
You guys
on
can
top
figure
of the box,
this
that kind of
out
stuff.
pretty easily in warm up. We are very powerful facing the box and we are very slow facing the box. We are not very powerful if we are perpendicular and just staring off, not at the box at all, but we're a little bit quicker. So the movement efficiency and the timing of it is the balance that you're searching for when you're finding that angle. What feels smooth, what doesn't feel like it's particularly taxing to maybe one leg, or you just don't feel powerful. You feel like you really got to rip your knees up because you're not really able to jump, that sort of thing. So when you're warming up, feel out that spectrum of completely facing all the way to turning sideways, and you'll see what we're talking about. And then you can, once you know where you feel comfortable, that's when we can start to get into the footwork that Paige is talking about, where we're landing with that inside foot and that outside foot is getting us closer to the other side. So we have an easier step down when it's related to that. The step overs, we saw I think we saw basically 4 different versions here of
A
this.
little bit, yeah.
And it did feel like, I'd have to go back and watch closer and just watch one person, but it did feel like Jason's variation was the way that we would teach a, double dumbbell step over, where we are at that angle. We've got that footwork really figured out in terms of being able to step across the box with that, with the trailing leg. So just make sure that when you're warming that up, again, they didn't have a ton of time. You guys have plenty of time. You potentially have time today, depending on what time zone you're in, to kind of play around with this stuff a little bit. But basically, again, what we're looking for is a step up straight on in that position is going to be the easiest way to just get yourself onto the box. And then the easiest way to have the correct footwork and really kind of step across and get into a rhythm is going to be that sideways facing. And you got to find that angle that works best for you, where you feel coordinated, where you feel stable on top of the box. And then I really recommend ditching the ball and locking in your footwork. Really thinking about, I'm stepping with this leg, I'm stepping across with this leg, I'm stepping back down, that sort of thing. You've got the live workout there. Go back, click to that spot, watch Jason do it. Had really good footwork there. This is a very, very gassy workout. So your ability to stay open with that ball up makes a lot more sense than hugging it in that position. But again, I joked that he was potentially going to win the workout, and then you can basically just be like, okay, well, but I think that that's a much more efficient position. And then we saw Hatfield with that little skip step at the top, and we can add some speed to a movement like that. But this is, man, if there ever was somehow an endurance workout within 12 minutes, and you guys would understand that it was an endurance workout in 12 minutes if you did it without a time cap. That is the amount of work that they're doing within that period of time. So when we are doing that, we are, again, like, adding that muscle contraction of, anybody out there who has gone and ran hard for longer than their body is used to, your quads, your ankles, your calves, all that stuff gets really lit up because the muscle contraction, the repetitiveness and the amount of them and the force that's being applied there is something that your musculature and your nervous system is not used to. And even if you survive it in the moment, you're going to have a rough couple of days afterwards.
Yeah. I think, similar to
My
what you
quads were
said,
cramping when I was watching him.
similar to what you said too on, like, if you have a style that you've done over and over again, like, you have the muscle memory built into that. Now really isn't the time to change it unless you know that, like, the repetitive movement that you're trying to change can stay consistent even when you're
Sure.
under a lot of fatigue.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind too. If, some people get that light bulb moment of, like, how to do step overs really efficiently and they're nice and fresh, and then all of a sudden they try to do it after they do 20 wall balls and they're like, oh my God, my brain just forgot. So it is something that takes a lot of repetition, get that muscle memory down.
Yeah, I think for movement efficiency, that about covers it. Nate is asking about the step overs. Yeah, Nate, I think knowing you as an athlete and most athletes in that age bracket, this is already a wall ball workout for most anyways. So if we can, even if we have to slow down a touch to then be able to push more in a place that has significantly more reps and significantly more time related to the workout, this is not, the only way that this becomes a box jump over workout is if you make it one by accident, and then you're going to have some issues elsewhere. So whenever we, again, have that individual cadence movement, we need to use that to moderate the other things that are happening in the workout. So I think it's a no-brainer for 90+% of people that are allowed to step over.
Yeah, I've talked to one athlete already with experience on that within a Misfit piece that we have done just recently, and it was night and day different going from the jump overs to the step overs.
Yeah, we understood the question, Nate. I do still think that's the answer.
Yeah.
We got one more question here. Hips need to reach below the line for standard, but would dropping ass to grass burn the hip flexors more or less? This is a bit of a loaded question without seeing someone squat. If you usually ass to grass isn't a real squat, it's someone who can get into their dog taking a shit position and, you know, put their taint on the floor. I can get my cheeks pretty close to the floor.
Nasty.
We don't need that. That's not an active squat. If you have the mobility to be able to do that, we are typically going to look at widening your squat so that we can create a situation where that bounce and that recoil happens, you know, basically just below parallel. The way that you would audit that, are my arches collapsing? Are my heels coming up? Are my knees still tracking slightly outside of my feet? That's what we need. We need the heel down. We need to maintain the arch. We need the knees tracking throughout the entire squat. That's how we know we haven't gone too wide yet. So yeah, we're not adding range of motion for no reason. And if you're hypermobile, do some back squats. Get yourself less hypermobile. All right. What do we have? We got any more questions here? Yeah, transitions. I mean, during the open, the more simple it is, I am a frantic in your transition, smooth in your movements. That's something that we've been saying for a very long time that I believe wholeheartedly in. We haven't had the opportunity to open up the standards and you got to be standing this far away to do this, that sort of deal for anybody that's, you know, kind of videoing, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think get your ass to the next thing. Like for me, I'm never going to sniff anything special in a workout like this, but I have a rule that like when I let go of that last wall ball, my first box jump I better be on that box pretty quick. And if I got to slow down as I step down, as I pick my cadence, but I want when I have 1, 2, 3, 4 wall balls left, I'm thinking about like that thing's airborne and I hope I can throw a ball to a target and just kind of turn around and walk away. But when I do that, I'm heading over to get into the next thing. And I'm thinking about transitioning back to the wall ball in the exact same way. When I hear 15, 16, 17, I'm checking in with myself. Where's my breathing? Am I frantic? You know, what's my body language like? Okay, I'm going to transition over there and I'm going to pick up that wall ball and I'm going to get that first set, whatever I've agreed to, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of having somebody there. Like I have a judge and I usually have someone who's like kind of, you know, helping me stay on pace or keep a cadence that I'm trying to hold and like using them as a way to help keep me proactive in what I'm thinking about. And I do this with McKenna too, like, you know, start thinking about that wall ball, start thinking about that box jump over, like when you are about to transition to something, because sometimes hearing somebody else be as locked in as you are, like can also help your mindset and keep you locked in when you're almost starting to fade. So
it's a lonely pursuit.
You know, yeah. So, you know, if you can have somebody there, that I find that really helpful. Hopefully McKenna would say the same.
I'm a coach and judge kind of person. I think if you are really serious about this, really want to see how far you can push yourself in any level of competition, you have your judge who's there and it is their job to count for you and to make sure that you're hitting the standards, obviously. But it's not their job to also be worried about, you know, pacing and all of this different stuff. Having the coach there is super important. And I can tell you guys right now, from my perspective, like this is my 16th open as a coach. I get butterflies before the announcement and my heart rate's at least zone 3. I'm not in zone 5 with you, but I'm at least in zone 3 and I might even creep up to zone 4 depending on how the workout goes. Usually if it goes terrible or amazing. So that setup I think is incredibly important and you gotta choose the right people. Oh my goodness, the people. I love you guys. You're awesome. A lot of you do not know what to say to athletes in the moment.
And it's so different per athlete, right? Like
exactly.
You know,
yes,
like,
it's completely different. The way that I speak to all of my athletes is very nuanced to that person. Yep. What do we got for the general affiliate athlete? What about pacing, the callbacks? Oh, the wall balls for longevity. 1 rep, take a breath, rep, etc. I don't fully follow this question. I don't think anyone's doing singles. If you're talking about making sure that you're breathing, that's a good call there. We see people and they're like, hey, yeah, you got 12 minutes of this. You haven't taken a breath yet. Like, We got to breathe. That oxygen thing that we're talking about is not going to work all that well if you're not breathing at all. So I think I might need Paige to answer that question or for it to be reworded. Do you follow exactly what that means?
Not really. I think of like, I don't want to say surviving the 12 minutes, right? Like, again, you see these guys are getting 11-minute plus in this workout. 99.9% of the world is going to get capped on it. So, like, we talk about forever sets. I think that I don't know if I would suggest any different pacing for an affiliate or for a competitor. Like, you have to know yourself as an
advice in
athlete.
these simple workouts doesn't really change.
Yeah, right. So to answer that, I'm like, go back to what we said earlier in the podcast, like pacing, the cadence of your box jump overs, the gas feel that it's gonna bring on forever sets on wall balls. I think it all stays the same.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so if we don't have any more questions, we will probably wrap this thing up fairly soon. Again, I think I said medium duration row burpee, but I just wanted simple. I didn't want anyone to feel like that's too heavy for me. That's a skill that I don't necessarily have, because then we can build that narrative. And now the narrative has been crumpled up into a ball and thrown in the trash, because the people that are the best at the skills and the people that are the best at moving heavy weight just put on a clinic with the simple stuff. And it's also a bit of a nod to the people out there that aren't at that level yet with those other things. You going in and crushing this workout as, a more cardio type athlete, like, you are better off than those other people. Getting what you have is significantly more challenging and just requires hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of trying to manipulate energy systems. Whereas skill and learning to move your body around a barbell versus moving the barbell specifically, things of that nature, take practice, but on kind of a different level. So yeah, I think it's really great that this is the first workout, because you can kind of slow down some of those narratives. And to the people on the other side of the fence, my brethren, my people, the high skill, high weight, no fitness crowd, you get, this is humble pie on a platter, right? Like, that's the thing that gets served to you in these moments. And man, if you're still one of those people that this workout's dumb, like, you gotta stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Get fitter.
There's an acceptance that needs to happen in these kind of workouts. Accept that it's gonna be hard, it's gonna burn, but like, again, having the acceptance helps the body language, which helps the performance. So it all coincides.
For sure.
I'm excited. I don't know. Like, I feel like our Misfit community, like, after doing all the open sim, like, these guys are ready for it. I feel it. I have such a good vibe about it.
Yeah. And this year flopped the stimulus intentionally, and I'm so happy that I did. So in years past, we would go phase 2 aerobic CrossFit, phase 3 anaerobic CrossFit. I find that in these moments, the desensitization of more reps, more volume allows us to come back down to a place, which is typically kind of counterintuitive to the way that you would program energy systems. But I wanted you to feel what it was like in phase 2 to go very hard on this style of workout, which we did a lot of. And then I wanted you to accumulate a ton of volume and learn how to pace afterwards. And we sort of come back to the middle here with all of this stuff that we've learned. So to reiterate strategy, we are choosing a set of wall balls where we think we can do it. It hits the floor. And if you're real fit, you pick that thing back up without anything. If you are an open athlete and wondering if you're going to make it to quarterfinals, it's one deep breath at the most. And you pick that bad boy up and you do it again. And it could be all the way down at 5s, and it could be all the way up at maybe 15s or something like that. But when we do that, and we do the workout in that way. We then go to the box jump overs and the step overs, and we do those at a pace that allows us to continue to go back to the wall balls and do the exact same thing. Does not matter what the set is, does not matter where you're at in the workout. You are doing the same damn thing on those wall balls every single round, and you moderate the pacing on the box jump overs. And one thing that's beautiful about that is you doing a couple too fast and going from 160 beats per minute to 170 is not the same as crash and burn. That's just, we want to do that a little bit in the workout. Like, am I going hard enough? That sort of thing. But for these little short bursts, you still want to have good body language, still want to breathe through it. And it's like, okay, actually, I can pick this up a little bit, or that's not quite where we're at in the workout yet. We got to dial it back. We got to go back to that, a rep every 2 seconds sort of thing. And you work your way through the workout like that. It will feel, I don't know. I don't know if this one could feel boring. Like,
I don't
there
think you have
are
time
workouts.
to think about it.
Yeah. There are workouts where you're sat on a rower and you're going slower than you want to. And you're like, what is this? I don't know that that's this workout.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think there's something to be said too. Like, if you're going head to head with anybody and you're going out slow and, they pull ahead in the 20, the 18, the 30, and then you just slowly start to creep up on them, like, what that does for your headspace to keep going is incredible. So, like, it's kind of like that. You just use it as fuel. So for anybody that is going head to head and you feel like you fall behind early on, remember how this workout will play out.
Yep. Warming up, we are going to do a 12 to 15 minute sweat check, going from resting heart rate all the way up to 180 minus your age. By the 12 to 15 minute mark, we want to get the lower body and the upper body involved when it comes to this. Obviously, with the box jumps, the squatting, and the throwing of the ball, definitely prioritizing the lower half. But that, last 8 minutes or last 4 minutes, let's make sure there's at least a skier, an echo bike, or a rower, getting some good blood flow and muscle activation. From there, we're going to get into some mobility. We're going to make sure we're paying attention to the hips and the lower legs. And then you start to personalize at that point. I'm personally pretty mobile in the upper body. So I'm just going to make sure that if I kick up into a handstand or whatever, that if, this side or this lat or trap or tricep or whatever is a little tight, I'm going to give it a little bit of attention. Personally, I would be going to, if you're dealing with any low back stuff, I would be big on making sure the hamstrings and the glutes start to get involved. If you are a well-functioning human being, I think you would take a little bit more of the approach that Paige talked about, a little bit more kind of full body, but not spending too much time there. Then we are rotating through easy versions of the movement all the way up to the actual programmed movements or beyond that. Couple of 30-pound wall balls, couple of higher box jumps, couple of heavier step overs, something to that effect. And then we're doing a primer. For me, I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 quick sprints on an echo bike with a bunch of rest in between, where I'm just behind that point where I start to feel some fatigue, but my heart rate gets up nice and high. I feel like my nervous system is along for the ride. We will be posting all of this stuff, by the way, but Paige, you had said maybe a round through where you're using the machine to increase your heart rate, but then also feeling the movements with that higher heart rate. So you're then going to go grab some wall balls, some box jump overs, some step overs, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Ooh, you know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about after. Wow. Okay.
The best part.
Yeah. After this workout, for the love of God, get over to something that involves muscle contractions with your lower and upper half. At this point, it probably wouldn't be that fun to get on a rower. Some of you sickos love the rower. Echo bike, assault bike, get on there and dwindle your heart rate from that 180 minus your age back down. It won't be your resting 15 minutes after that workout, but we're lowering your heart rate slowly across 12 to 15 minutes. And then anything that felt lit up in that workout, anything that felt lit up, your calves, your ankles, your quads, your glutes, your shoulders, whatever it was, give it some love. Get into some static stretching, some longer. It's also going to help with the nervous system, getting it back into parasympathetic, some really kind of breathing into positions, that sort of thing. Because if you do have to redo a workout like this and you're fit enough to accumulate a lot of reps, your body's going to need some love before Monday. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm also a fan of like, I've been good enough to get on a machine, but I'm usually being like peeling McKenna off the ground to get on a machine. So if you need somebody, like remind them that your cool down is a non-negotiable and they need to get you over there to keep moving that body. Like don't let that slide, please.
In the moment, it feels like the worst thing that could possibly
Sucks.
happen. And then in hindsight, it's such a bad decision to do that to yourself. Also, you know, there's the bodybuilding community of like, let your muscles continue to break down for X period of time. Once you are breathing normally as a human being, water, electrolytes, protein, carbohydrate, that insulin spike from those things lets your muscles know that you're done. There's that insulin spike is like, hey, we're done. We are shutting down the catabolic window. We are introducing the anabolic window. So make sure that you do that. It's not like, oh my God, if I don't get this protein in, I'm not going to get muscle protein synthesis. It's actually has to do with that insulin spike, which is a good thing. I know that that's terrifying to have people in the CrossFit community. If you eat a carb, you'll die. But I think you guys are going to be all right. Anything else?
McKenna sent me a text that she's signing up for the Open so she could do this workout. She's going
I
to
have a bunch of
it.
messages over here that I can see, and I'm like, I can't continue to do the podcast and answer all of these simultaneously. So I think that's probably, unless any questions come in the next 3 or 4 minutes, we'll wrap this up. We've got a little doozy, a little 108 box jump over, 246 wall ball, couplet, medium, just that dirty, I don't know if it's short, I don't know if it's long, time domain where pacing can be really challenging, right? Like I don't need to dial way back because it's super long and I can't stomp the gas pedal because it's not super short. And man, I hope people have bought into the GPP propaganda and rain or shine mentality, because you guys will do significantly better if that's the case.
Yeah. Vic, I will consider going live tomorrow evening, doing it here at my gym, but I'll see what kind of cameras I have because we're no longer affiliated, so I need to record my workouts.
Ooh, so you got to have double camera. You got to have live camera. And
if I can do that, I will. We'll see.
Yeah. Got it. Cool.
Appreciate you too, Tony.
All right, guys. Rain or shine is the hashtag that you are going to add to your games profile this year so you can be on the leaderboard for shout outs and prizes and all that good stuff as we work our way through the Open. We've got a couple more of these live podcasts to do, and then we'll do, kind of a wrap up show and give people shout outs there. We have the brand spanking new rainbow sherbet or sherbet. Buddy knows, but it is number 2 on my power rankings, gorillamind.com/misfit, or use the code word misfit at checkout. Our programming is available at the link in bio on Instagram for all of our programs. Really fun, sort of having you guys, seeing you in the chat there, having the conversations. It's crazy to have these wild seasons where we go from the Open all the way to the games and you just want to take a damn nap. And then October rolls around, you're like, you need your fix. We got to get back to this. We got to get into it. We got to do our thing. So it's really exciting to be able to do that and to be able to do it with you, Paige, and to be able to do it with the whole gang here. So yeah, can't wait to get into it. Can't wait to talk to everybody over the course of the weekend. Again, make sure that you are paying attention to your email and Telegram and programming platforms and all that stuff for any changes. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Sweet.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.